Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and subscribers to Mr. Squire's Civics and Economics page. Yes. Alright, so yesterday we touched on the 4 functions of political parties. The easy way to remember these 4 functions was through, you remember? REHM, R-E-H-M, recruiting and nominating candidates, right? Educate the electorate about campaign issues, right? Help candidates win elections, right? And monitor the actions of office holders. If you saw my previous video, it breaks down each and every one of those functions or roles and why they are important toward the political process or establishing an effective political campaign. Today, we're going to touch on the similarities and differences of political parties. You have 2 essential understandings that you must know about political parties and the similarities and differences. A 2-party system characterizes the American political process. Again, a 2-party system characterizes the American political process. That's the first thing. The second essential understanding or enduring understanding is that The second enduring understanding or essential understanding is although third parties rarely win elections, they can play an important role in the political process or they can play an important role in public politics. We're going to evaluate each and every one of those right now. So, the first essential question that we want to focus on is how are the 2 major political parties similar and how do they differ? And that's how we're going to break it down now. Just take a moment to evaluate how many similarities does your text mention about the 2 major political parties. Before we even jump into that though, what are the 2 major political parties? I'll give you a hint. Starts with a D. The other one starts with an R. Or R. Okay? Don't judge my language. Got it? What is it? Democrats and Republicans. Democrats and Republicans. Those are the 2 major political parties. Now let's evaluate their similarities. How many similarities do both of these 2 major parties possess according to your text? What are the 2 similarities that both major parties what are the similarities that both major political parties have? How many are there? Correct. There are 4. There are 4 similarities between the 2 major political parties. The first similarity between these 2 political parties is they both organize to win elections. What did I say? Yes, they both organize to win elections. Then you go to the second similarity. The next similarity is they both influence public policies. They both influence public policies. So you're like, Mr. Squire, what does public policy mean? Well, we know public means the people. When we think about policies, what comes to your mind? Okay. When I think about policies, I think about rules or procedures. So, We already know that both political parties organize to win elections, but we also know that they influence the people's rules or, I said rules or laws. Not only do they organize to win elections and influence public policy or the people's rules or rules given to the people, established by the people, but they also reflect both liberal and conservative views. And what does that mean with liberal and conservative views? I'll give you a moment to think about that. Reflect both liberal and conservative viewpoints. To better understand liberal viewpoints, a liberal viewpoint is pretty much where they favor the government solving the problems of the people, versus conservative is more so we are in our traditional way of life and that the government should not be involved with solving the problems of the people. That's the difference between liberal views and conservative views. Got it? Sure? Liberal views means what? Government solves the problems of the people. Conservative, the government does not need to be involved with people's matters. That's the difference between the two. That's it. The last similarity of political parties is they both define themselves in a way that appeals to the political center. What does that mean, Mr. Squire? Pretty much what that means is they make sure that they appeal to the people. Going out, shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever that's going to take for them to be highly favored by the people to gain the people's votes. Okay? Now that we've touched on the similarities, we have to hit on the differences of political parties. Do you know how many differences are there? Think about it. There's only one difference between the two political parties. And that difference is the differences between each political party is stated in its party's platform and reflected in that party's campaign. What does that mean, Mr. Squire? Pretty much the difference between a political party, specifically the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, is whether or not their view is more liberal on one end or more conservative on the other end. In a moment, we will exercise an activity to get more of a better understanding of liberal versus conservative views and how each political party between the Democrats and Republicans are different because of their party platform. All right? So, let's get ready to jump. The last thing I want to touch on today with similarities and differences between political parties is also understanding the importance of third parties. See, third parties, even though we already have learned that third parties rarely do what? Correct. They rarely win elections. However, third parties introduce new ideas and press on particular issues. Again, third parties introduce new ideas as well as pressing on a particular issue. For example, you have, who is the individual who's mentioned in the passage that is well known for his third party? Correct. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt is acknowledged for his third party. His third party was also known as the Bull Moose Party. Look into that a little bit more so that you know more of his views and his ideas of the Bull Moose Party. Take that time to do your own research independently. You can do it now or you can look at it later. But I want you to understand the ideas of the third parties and how those views or ideas are somewhat similar, but yet they have so many different ideas and viewpoints also. So, and then the last thing about third parties are they often evolve around a political personality. For example, there, for example, Theodore Roosevelt was known as the bull, the big bull. So he called his third party the Bull Moose Party. I want you to take an opportunity when you get a chance to learn more about Theodore Roosevelt's Bull Moose Party and at least 3 views of the Bull Moose Party so that you can better understand the difference between third parties and what ideas do they focus on or what new issues do they press on, as well as understanding how third parties often revolve around a political personality. Okay? So, to wrap it up, we've talked about the similarities. How many similarities were there? 4. An easy way to remember them. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, and then you're going to say, O is for organize and win the elections. What it is? O. What about I? I is influence public policies. Now, you try it. I is for what? Correct. Influence public policy. And then we got R. R is what? Reflect both liberal and conservative views. And then we have D. Define themselves in a way that wins majority support by appealing to the political center. Or you can just say, defines themselves in a way that appeals to the political center. So what did I say? Organize, influence, reflect, define. Organize, influence, reflect, define. Got it? Organize to win elections. You got it? Influence public policies. Got it? Reflect both liberal and conservative views. What does liberal mean? Means that the government favors supporting the people's problems. Conservative means the government does not favor, they do not favor the government supporting solving people's problems. And then the last similarity is D. Define themselves in a way that they appeal to the political center. Okay? Now we go to the differences. Close your eyes. How many differences we learned about? 1. And that 1 starts with an S. Simple. The difference between political parties is stated in the party's platform. That's it. Stated in the party's platform. Then, the last thing we want to talk about is third parties. 2 things you want to remember about third parties. Close your eyes. I. See, you got my eyes closed. I introduce new ideas and or press for a particular issue. What did I say for third parties? I. What does the I stand for? Introduce new ideas and or press for a particular issue. And then the last one is that third parties often evolve around a political personality. For example, Theodore Roosevelt was known as the Bull. He called his third party the Bull Moose Party. Why? Because they know him as the Big Bull when he was a leader in the Army. So he named it the Bull Moose Party. And you'll learn more about it when you do a little bit more research. So, did I help you out with understanding the similarities and differences of political parties as well as third parties? If not, Write down any questions or comments that you have, and we will further investigate or further dig deep into this standard so that we can better understand it as a class. As always, it's your boy, your loving and wild and crazy teacher, Mr. Squire. Out. Peace.